The Statue of Liberty was used to ignite inside the French liberty. Look at America. Look what they're doing. It was meant to be read like this. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here, at our sea-washed sunset gates, shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep your ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse from your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, the tempest-tossed, to me. I hold my lamp beside the golden door. That is the message. Even the people that you reject can make it here. They will give it all to be successful here. You can make it here.
Is that what you think was intended?
If you look across the Hebrew Bible, the greatest moments of spiritual breakthrough occur in moments of exile. Abraham leaving the Promised Land, the Israelites going off to Babylon, and the greatest of all, when Moses leads the Israelites out of slavery into the desert. And only one moment, Glenn, in the entire Hebrew Bible does God come down to land, and that is to the top of Mount Sinai to give the law to Moses. And that cements this holy relationship among the people, the land, and God. That's at the heart of the Moses story, and that's at the heart of the American story, and that's at the heart of the Statue of Liberty.
Okay, what do you say we get like the tax code and we put it in the trunk of our car and everybody heads to Canada tonight? Let's go. Back in a minute. Back again, best-selling authors, best friends, and all best-selling authors of 3 great books, Joshua Cooper Ramo, Ben Sherwood, and Bruce Feiler, with us now.
Glenn, I've got a question. I mean, we've been sitting here talking, and you've very nicely drawn this link between our books, which we ourselves had not seen. But as I've listened to you, I've also been thinking, I think one of the reasons we've come to rely on each other as friends is we're all trying to think outside the box. And that is, frankly, it's psychologically exhausting. Everybody's telling you you're crazy, you're trying to do something different. Every other book you pick up is telling you everything's fine. I mean, I was just wondering, do you have an equivalent kind of council of people that you can turn to?
I have assembled, at first, no. And I've assembled a couple of people that are my real trusted friends, just like you did. But I think, I don't know exactly, I'm naturally, because I'm not classically trained, I naturally think out of the box.
Right.
But I think I'm a believer first. I think out of the box, and this was the piece that was missing for me. I didn't know what's next, how to survive. So I think I just naturally, I followed this probably the closest and just went, because I almost lost my soul. Yeah. And so I thought, if I believe this, I have to say it, because I went to the scriptures, and you know, if you find yourself in a position where you can see over the gate, you can see over the horizon, and you see something coming, if you don't warn, Bruce, what happens to you?
Well, I would say that you're going to go back into Egypt, into an oppressed state. And I have a personal, someone who's spent now a dozen years reading and traveling and writing about the Bible. When I get stuck, go back to the text.
Yeah.
When you go back to the text, you can usually find meaning, because there's a reason that it endures as a powerful metaphor. And this story is about the power of story to give us hope in challenging times. And I think that's what you talk about in the Survivors Club.
Well, I also think you go to text, but we're people, and we go to our core personalities. And my question, and it relates to Moses and it relates to world leaders, my question is, you've taken some shots, you've been knocked down, and we've talked about
everybody has
each person's survivor personality. And you say you're a believer. I remember when you took the test a year ago, the survivor profiler test.
It's in the back of your book.
Yeah. I remember.
Thanks, Peter.
You don't have to help him. Hang on. I'm going to take a break, and I want to come back, and you can give the results of that test. But I want you to talk about that test that people can take and what it reveals about each individual.
And what kind of survivor you are.
Okay, next. Best-selling authors, best friends. These are the 3 books that they wrote. This one, Ben Sherwood, we were just talking about the Survivors Club, how people actually survive. And there's a test in the back of the book.
So the question I had after interviewing hundreds of survivors was, what kind of survivor am I? And so I worked with leading psychologists, and we developed the world's first survivor personality test. It takes just about 10 minutes on the web. And you took it a year ago.
Yeah.
And what was interesting is you talk about how you're a believer, because they're believers, they're thinkers, they're connectors, they're realists. What was interesting was that you said you're a believer, and of course that's core, but as I recall when you took the test, you found that you were a realist. And there's an interesting relationship between realists and believers. Realists see the world clearly. They see over the horizon. They can think outside the box, they can think the unthinkable, and they can identify challenges and threats. Where do they turn? They can turn to all sorts of resources to overcome adversity, faith, belief. So these aren't at odds. We're many different things at once. We've talked today about Moses. Moses is sort of the ultimate survivor. In fact, I've seen a little action figure of Moses as a superhero, and Moses is sort of the definition of a believer, but he also had doubt too. So each of us has built inside of us sort of a survival kit, and you can find out what kind of survivor you are.
And it's also strange because Moses was also, he thought out of the box. I mean, here's a guy who's like, okay, I've got to go free people from bondage. How, I mean, the first thing he said was,
ultimate age of the unthinkable.
how am I going to do that?
Plagues, splitting of the Red Sea, you know, God coming down to the mountain. I mean, you talk about that's the original age of the unthinkable, the original survivor.
And a connector. Connector's a personality type. Some people survive by bringing people together, by using social bonds and social intelligence to make things happen. Plane crash or free the people from Egypt.
Okay. Back, final thoughts in just a second. We were just talking in the break about, you know, what's coming in America. And I want to just tell you, tough times are coming. Not necessarily bad times. Tough times are coming. And if you don't think out of the box, it is going to be bad. Please, these 3 books, pick them up. You'll find them on the internet. You'll find them everywhere. From New York, good night, America.